Hello, and welcome to World Exploration of the Western Pacific region with Clara Garcia and Emily Sullivan. As you can see in this map, there are a lot of countries to cover, so buckle up as we take you for another exciting ride into world exploration. To make our journey a little easier, we've classified the countries of this region into groups based on their income and development, as summarized in the World Bank's 2008 World Development Report. We'll first delve into the cultural, economic, and political backgrounds of these countries, and we'll end this report by talking about the burden of disease and the barriers to care that may exacerbate these problems. Having said that, let's dive right in.
The first group we'll be talking about are those countries that are classified as low income. These countries include Cambodia, Korea, the Laos People's Democratic Republic, Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and Vietnam. Although these countries represent vastly different cultures, it can be said that every country has been heavily influenced by ancient cultures that once ruled their lands. These influences come from religious as well as cultural heritages. The economies of these countries are just as diverse as their cultures. Although there is a common theme of agriculture and fishing throughout almost all of them, the largest exception to this trend is North Korea, which has a relatively closed-off economy and has focused on industry as a major economic support. Lastly, we are going to compare the governments within this low-income sector. The government systems range from a communist dictatorship in North Korea, Vietnam, and Laos to a democratic republic in Mongolia.
The lower middle income classified countries include China, Fiji, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, the Philippines, Samoa, Tonga, and Vanuatu. Most of these countries can trace their cultural practices back hundreds of years, a feat that maintains significant influence on the countries today. Many are made up of multiple subgroups of ethnic populations, and a few of those groups have been altered dramatically through the 19th and 20th century colonization. Now, speaking of their economies, the stark differences are still visible. China is highly dependent upon the manufacturing of goods, whereas other countries rely on agriculture, fishing, tourism, and even foreign financial aid. These countries also vary greatly in their form of government. Many have some sort of democracy, while others, such as Tonga, have constitutional monarchies, and China is communist.
Next up on our tour are the upper middle income countries, American Samoa, Malaysia, Northern Mariana Islands, and Palau. Each of these islands are heavily influenced by the native culture. Even American Samoa, a territory of the United States, shows that even under its surveying U.S. citizenship status, cultural heritage runs deep. Economically, most of these countries can claim respectable economic records. International trade, tourism, and foreign assistance make up the majority of the economies for these countries. Some of these countries are territories of the U.S., while others are independent monarchies or democracies.
The last main group, known as the high-income countries, is made up of Australia, Brunei, French Polynesia, Guam, Hong Kong, Macau, New Caledonia, New Zealand, South Korea, and Singapore. Once again, these countries represent very assorted cultures. However, many of these countries, although still influenced by age-old traditions, have created new cultures based on their contact with countries from Europe as well as the United States. Most of these countries have economies based on major industry, tourism, and services such as banking. Now, talking about governments, almost all of these countries can be classified as monarchies, democratic republics, or territories.
But that's not exactly the end of our list. There are some countries which have an unknown classification. These countries include the Cook Islands, Nauru, Niue, the Pitcairn Islands, Tokelau, Tuvalu, Wallis, and Futuna. Almost all of these islands have deeply rooted traditions. Although some have slowly replaced these cultures with westernization, Nauru, for example, has few forms of traditional culture that are still practiced. These islands are also similar in their economies. Many rely on foreign aid and even are based off subsistence farming and fishing. Tourism can be found on the Cook and Pitcairn Islands, while small-scale production supports most of these countries. Finally, Niue and Tokelau are under the New Zealand government's control, with Tuvalu and Pitcairn Islands under British control. The others have different styles of government, ranging from monarchies to parliamentary republics.
So now what you've all been waiting for. Overall, the burden of disease in countries of the Western Pacific region is largely influenced by risk factors such as smoking and alcohol consumption and other non-communicable diseases that result from lack of resources to treat them. Environmental pollution is also a concern, especially in countries whose economy stems from industrialization and manufacturing. Pollution can lead to pulmonary disease and other respiratory problems such as asthma. Another huge burden of disease is diabetes due to obesity from changes in nutritional content such as the introduction of fast food. Diabetes tends to cause cardiovascular disease. Most of the islands in the region are remote, hard to reach, and impoverished. Therefore, accessible health care is hard to come by. Another factor that allows for the negligence of health care can be attributed to traditional beliefs that conflict with modern medicine. We hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Western Pacific region. Come again soon!